strongly agree, you know, that sort of thing. It could be a single sentence, but it could also include birds and perhaps other animals, you know.
I don't know what else to put there for that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just,
Okay. Okay. Conservation and open space. Obviously, 1 and 2 are fairly linked. They could be a two-part question.
And open space, different kinds of open space, you get passive and active, right? This open space could be a ball field, could be a soccer field, could be...
Right, I think we get to that in recreation. Is that what you're talking about, like 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Under recreation.
What are we going to get out of question number 3, because that's protected by law?
It is
I'm not
protected by
sure
law.
what we're going to do with whatever answer we get.
Good question. I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. Yeah.
isn't that another one of those cases, if we don't think they're protected enough by DEM and CRMC, that we could make regulations that were stronger than those?
We did. We have already done that. We did that in the last comprehensive plan. We have zoning regulations now that exceeds,
So we sort of
I would say
done
far
that.
exceeds what DEM requires, at least in terms of siting of septic systems.
So that's sort of a, you know, for the Conservation Commission, if they have any opinion about that not being sufficient to come back.
Right. I mean, I think that they kind of spearheaded the whole increasing the buffer from ISTS systems or septic systems. So we do have a much stricter regulation now than DEM does.
Yeah, and I think what you run into there is, you know, if you ask the question in the survey, do we protect wetlands enough? If that's the question, I don't think the general populace knows what the rules are. So answering that is just sort of not getting I mean, you get an opinion, but I'm not sure it's based on any knowledge.
That's one of those reasons. You have to make a statement first.
Yeah.
Jamestown's regulations exceed the state regulations.
That
You feel that we should be even more aggressive or something.
Or, you know, even with all the regulations in place, the water quality has gone down in recent years. Do we want to protect it more? Would be another way of doing it. But if it hasn't gone down, or if there's no way to monitor that.
Still vote for it if you don't understand. Okay. Heritage specimen tree protection, that was yours, Nancy. I put specimen in. Is that what you were referring to?
Well, I was also thinking, you know, we didn't have as much as we might have, for instance, for the Clinton Corner situation. You know, they went out of their way to preserve the trees in that area, but it happens to be one of, say, 2 pockets of trees on the island that are that old. And we didn't really have a whole lot to work with in terms of protecting the heritage trees. But so it would be, do we
Say
want
private property now, because we do regulate them on public property.
Right.
So private. Okay.
that should make it really popular.
Well, I think it clarifies a lot, actually, so I think that's helpful. All right. Electric company pruning practices. We had, just as kind of a background, at the time met with the electric company years ago, I would say within the last 10, 12 years, because they were butchering the trees when they would prune along the sides of the road. So at that time, we kind of came to an agreement as to what the pruning practices would be. So that's kind of where that, at least that's how I interpreted it. I don't remember exactly what was said, and whoever put it in, if that's accurate.
They did do a pretty bad job of the ones along Narragansett Avenue, didn't they? Or at least they all look kind of beat up every time from all the pruning.
I don't know if it's even just.
Isn't that like the, you know, Solomon trying to figure out what to do with the baby? You know, either you're going to have utility right-of-ways or you're going to have trees. You can't have both. I don't know why we're asking that question. If we want to have electric power in Jamestown, we don't want to put it underground, then we can't allow our trees to conflict with those utilities.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, I think more on lines though. I don't know if it's the electric company, but you know, it kind of bothers me sometimes when you drive along the road. It looks like this huge monster weed whacker went through and knocked everything down, as opposed to what I would call pruning. It's not
It's a massive shredder.
It's a butchering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that, I think, is where I'd like to see that question go, is what do we think of this?
I mean, the
That's the town does
the
that.
town has a piece of equipment
Yeah,
that does it very
The
nicely.
town does that?
They
They do
are.
it along Beavertail.
So well, the state roads, I mean, say Walcott Avenue, it's the state.
Well, they never
Street
used
Road
to
is
do
the
that
state.
until they allowed the brush to grow up. And then the brush got ahead of them, they could not do it. It's economically impossible to do it any other way.
I would agree, yeah. It's really kind of.
So
the opposite.
that's
We're
just
gonna have a lot
another
of brush.
conflict.
Right.
You've got a conflict between habitat and public right-of-ways.
And the two farms that have done, or 3 farms that have done a really nice job of pruning along the roadside, it's no longer necessary to do that, but all along North Road, they used to do that in Highland Road, if you remember.
But
Yeah.
you'll get an argument from the farm that hasn't been pruned yet, that the pruning that was done was overdone.
Was what?
Overdone.
I guess the question is, do we want to work closer with them to regulate their pruning practices? So we'll just leave it at that. You agree or you don't agree, that's a great question.
I think you ought to include the town, not just the electric company. With their bush.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't specify, then it could be both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's roadside pruning practices, you know, like electric right away, so roadside pruning practices, it's not even getting about.
Does everybody understand question number 6? Is that clear? Did that capture where was idea that was?
Almost belongs over on number 3 under wildlife vegetation.
But it's asking a specific expending funds. But maybe it should be under wildlife and vegetation.
Yeah, probably.
All right, recreation. I don't know. I just wrote that down and I'm not sure what it really meant. Can anybody elaborate on that?
There's some subheadings here. Do we need more programs, land site facilities, or savings tool?
So that's number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Number 4 is the one that's sort of
Okay.
aligned.
Yeah, it just has a question, so I didn't really know how to elaborate on that one.
Oh, does that relate to, I bet you I know what that relates to. That relates to whether we should have a public presence, like a harbor master on the water, rather than, and I think they were having some discussions about what the harbor master's job should be. Should he be less on the water? Should there be less, should it be more of a desk job or something like
Do
that?
we want to ask a question about personnel?
I think they came out pretty strongly in the Harbor Commission for the harbor master public profile on the water. And I guess my question is, what's our question? Don't we agree that that's a good idea? Are we asking, assuming that Jamestowners don't want so much water for?
We're asking a question without any supporting information, just, one way or the other.
I mean, the people with boats on the water are maybe less than half of the islanders. I mean, maybe they wouldn't know how to answer. I don't know.
I guess, yeah, I would make this, if that's what it is, and you wanted to ask something, then it would be about whether Jamestowners want, an active, harbor master or harbor personnel kind of presence on the water. And whether they want more than what they're getting, for instance, because, whether they want like total coverage during the summer months.
I mean, that question's run into a lot of problems. Half the people who have moorings on the island don't live here. They're not gonna see the
Sure.
survey.
Very true. Yeah. I read it, everything else is kind of self-explanatory.
On the fishing access, where